So how you guys doing? How's
We're
everything?
doing good, man. How are you?
Pretty solid. Coming back from space still.
Excellent.
Well, let's
Excellent.
let's let's get right into it. Andre, we haven't seen you since the Jordan fight in December. How are things been since?
Well, that's the part that I'm saying. I'm coming back from space from the kick.
Yeah, the Spartan kick.
Yeah, yeah. He got me with the good old Spartan kick. He paid me back. I think because I broke his nose in the first round, so it was a little payback. And so, but nothing but love to the guy, man.
What was
But
or sorry, what was your thoughts on like that clip kind of going viral?
Uh, hey, I ended up making the guy's highlight. That's honestly how it is. In the fight game, you make someone's highlights no matter what. And I know that ain't the only one highlight that I made. And right now I know he has a few of my highlights that I got on him. So just his outshine mine. So it's kind of like you end up swallowing the bullet that you end up shooting. So
It's kind of like a risk you have to take being a fighter, right? There's a chance you might end up on someone's highlight reel, right?
yeah, 100%, 100%. Just that's just how it is. As long as you end up knowing that, everything kind of goes smoothly when you end up entering certain places and stuff like that.
For sure. So
Yeah.
now you're entering working with Triller Triad Combat 2. You're headlining. How did that all end up happening? Because I know you recently signed with First Round Management. And how do you feel about being the main event for that event?
Definitely feel great, but the sad news, and I end up getting to break this down to you. Sad news is that they ended up pushing it back till August, so it's not next week. That was the part that I was excited about. They ended up pushing it back, so kind of got that news last night in a way, or
Oh,
a few
breaking
days
news
ago.
on Empire.
Yeah, so there you guys go. But at this moment, we're trying to make it into bare knuckles at this moment.
Oh, nice.
To end up fighting at least, if it's not next week, June 24th, which is already a big card with Jimmy Rivera already fighting on it. And they just got done signing Dotson, so I think he should be fighting soon. I might actually be his opponent. I don't know. But all I'm saying is I'm trying to jump on it and, start getting back into the whole action of hitting people, because 6 months out of the game, it's a long time.
For sure. So this breaking news, you might be fighting for bare knuckle coming up
That
soon.
is breaking news. Breaking news. That's what First Round management and I want to go in that direction. Kind of like just get my feet back into being wet and everything, And Triad was supposed to be that one, especially with a game opponent, Francisco. That was going to be a good banger the whole nine, but it just kind of just got postponed and pushed back a little bit. So that's still going to happen. Still going to be in the main card, I believe. So, which I should, because I'm all smiles and, I'm the one that brings the entertainment to the game. And it's a hometown fight.
For sure. Yeah. I love the enthusiasm you have, man. You just seem like an awesome dude. So going into bare knuckle then, like how do you feel about that process now?
Truth be told, this is bringing me back to my younger ages. I was in so many street fights, and that, can't even end up counting. I can give you stories. The day that fighting was a thing for me, and fighting was basically how we survived growing up and where I'm from. So me transitioning is just me kind of going back home to, it's like I don't know if you guys ever played like Nintendo 64, and they had the like Donkey Kong games going on, or even WWF at the time. It's kind of like if you end up getting that in your hands, if you played it, you just know how to play it. You just got to end up figuring things out, and you're back on it. So it's kind of like jumping back on board of things. So
for sure,
it'll be kind of fun.
And with this new management, like, did you have lots of opportunities at other MMA organizations?
Oh, definitely. Granted that I was with Dodge Sports, and nothing but respect, and I know that it kind of turned out like hey, not double cross, but like moved on. It was just, the fact is that after having a dark time in 2021, you could tell everybody ended up giving up on me and everything, and that was included, and that was one of my reasons why I kind of stepped out. It's me to find myself, and kind of had to choose the road that people, and there's a team that's going to work for me type of ordeal, and not kind of give up on me at the time. Like, hey, I give them points to the moment, like me, losing and everything, and that ended up happening, it kind of opened up that door where it's like, only thing you can do is lose hope on things, you know? And,
sure.
and, you know, and the time that I needed him to work, you know, I ended up losing my job type of a deal. So it's kind of like, it is what it is. And when I needed him, he wasn't there. And yeah, so it's stuff like that. So now I'm in a group that it's a full team and they're all backing me. And, you know, Maurice is somebody that's kind of been there, but hasn't like stepped over any toes until he had to. And that's where we're at.
For
So,
sure.
good stuff.
So I'm assuming like yeah, Bellator, PFL, Eagle, we're all interested. Like, is it about were you more chasing like just a payday right now, or like you said, you want to just get your foot back in the water and test what's available?
I don't want to say paid it because those fights, because I did get it, you know, I got offered for Bellator, Eagle, and PFL. It's just a situation for PFL was all basically all three of them were all last minute. Like the Eagle fight that happened about a week ago or a week or two ago, I was offered there, but I only had a 10-day notice, and I had to. They wanted me to shoot up at 155,
Hmm.
and the thing is, I ain't supposed to fight at 155. It's 45 or 35 type of deal. And it's one of those Khabib's guy. So it would have been just trying to wrestle me the whole goddamn
Yeah.
time. And hey, it comes down to those moments where you're in the mood. Do we have a boring fight? Being my first fight coming back, do I want a boring fight? No. You know, so it kind of went into the direction of Triad because it was going to be me main event. It was going to be something that they're trying to blow up. And if I'm the reason why they blow up or add a reason why they blow up, and me being the main headline, and on top of that, they're supposed to do a imped or what do you call it, where the camera people end up following you and you know place
Yeah.
it hosted on or posted on the TV and everything. That's what I was gonna get. So that was my direction of going into Triad because I needed people to know what the hell is going on with me, what was happening, you know, what happened in the last 6 months. I want to end up talking about it, you know, because be honest, like in the 6 months, no one ended up reaching out to talk to me. No one ended up saying, hey, let's have an interview. No, kind of like I disappeared and people were okay with it. So Triad was going to be my answer coming back. And then after that, I would have been more relevant to the moment I can end up speaking my mind or jumping on bigger and better cards, you know? So stuff like that.
Now, when you got offered that opportunity at Triad, was that like very exciting for you?
So they broke it down. At first, when they just brought it up, it was like, wow, whatever. Because my mind was like, you know, what are they doing at this moment? Like, you know, and who's going to be hosting it. So it's more like on question of, you know, getting the backgrounds. Because like I said, I was getting offered other places as well, you know. But it was all about being the smart motion. So when they start breaking things down on the situation, it made more sense as in this is the direction I had to go. You know, so like I said, every step has to be a smart step, you know, especially where I'm at this moment where, you know, I'm coming from a dark time of 3 losses, losing my sons or losing my fiance type ordeal, getting dumped and all this other extra stuff of me on a mental breakdown of kind of dropping back into the old days of kind of like ending everything. Like, you know, like I was in a dark place. I just want to end up saying that. And now, beginning of the year, things start to look more positive. I'm, you know, training, building myself mentally, physically, you know, everything you could possibly end up thinking. And so I'm a completely like different person with a different swag, with a different energy of, hey, it's time to eat, you know? And don't get me wrong, it is into the emotion of I need to start making a lot more money again, but it has to be the smart direction because I had this one of these dark moments that my life automatically almost got ended type of deal, you know? And when that ended up happening, it happened in front of my child and it opened up everything where, dang, if I would have died today, what would I have left my son? Nothing. Like, you know, and that was me working with the UFC. I wasn't getting what I was supposed to be getting and I wasn't making what I was supposed to be making. And my mindset wasn't all there. So everything kind of just flipped over to every step has to be the right step.
For sure. And now that you said you're transitioning into bare knuckle, is that due to Triller's kind of because they have ownership in bare knuckle, I believe. Was that due to that or just the opportunity was there?
We can say both hand in hand. You know, it was one of those situations where I was asking for bare knuckle in the beginning, but Triad kind of came out and so I kind of played with that. But now it comes down to if I'm able to jump on it, I'm gonna jump on it. Because like again, it comes down to like I got to be active. It's 6 months since I have not hit anybody. Hit somebody. So that 6 months of a process, it kind of starts getting to you and start paying its tolls, you know.
For sure. Luke?
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk about that. You've been in mixed martial arts for a while, and I would say for a long time now. But like, what's the difference between training for like a boxing, bare knuckle match and MMA? There's got to be a big comparison there.
Well, it is. It's just practicing smaller, no gloves type of ordeal, you know. And it makes a big difference. People don't end up understanding. Like when you have 16 ounces to 14 ounces or 18 ounces, whatever gloves you guys end up using for like regular sparring, you know, people feel like they have a chin and stuff like that. And then you get that realization when you get hit with a 4 ounce, you don't have that chin the way that you think. And on top of that, it's the factors in how you're blocking things. There's certain directions and situations where a normal, hey, I'm picking up the phone is not going to work with smaller or no gloves at all, you know? It's one of those you kind of just don't want to get touched. And I'm like the perfect person that does not like getting touched. You got to be real with it, you know? It's like you can literally, like, out of all my fights, majority of all the strikes that ever does touch me is or leg kicks, you know? If you end up really think about it, like how many times do I ever get touched in my face like that? You don't really see it. And if I do, it's shocker of, oh, shoot, you know, that man has a chin or whatever. It'd be like a kick or whatnot, you know? But at the end of the day, it is a big difference from big gloves, and you constantly keep going down on the ounces and everything. So that's the biggest transition that people don't get. And for me, it's just something I already understanding from before jumping into with the gloves and everything, and me always fighting, basically on the outside and stuff like that.
And then, I mean, like in a training for a boxing match, is it like, obviously with MMA, you want to train all aspects of your game, all around game. But when it comes to boxing, is it more focusing on your cardio versus just striking and whatnot? Like, how would you compare the two?
I'll go ahead and say more. It's all circled with everything being put together, because the fact is, in one, I'm already on the like aspect of always throwing hands and more steez, and that's something I also ended up learning, that I continue to escape what I'm actually naturally good at, you know, and it's my stand up. Like I have good boxing IQ and good hands with everything, but when I'm trying to like add and force extra stuff like kicks and stuff like that, it ends up becoming an awkward situation. So it kind of like put me in a good place with the situation where I can just focus on that in my conditioning. And then, you know, and then now when I end up transitioning back over, it's not going to be a big tweak, because my mindset should have been boxing and then applying my kicks and stuff like that, instead of like looking for kicks and then try to work my boxing. It's kind of like with wrestlers, where you have a great wrestler, but he's not able to show his great wrestling until he gets hurt. And then it's like when he gets hurt, it's like, oh, I got to force my wrestling. And the next you know it, now you're forcing your wrestling. Your wrestling is just average because we know it's coming. It's kind of like one of those things, you know something's coming and you're more prepared for it. So when you hit somebody really hard, you know, or wrestle really hard, they're forced to wrestle, and now you're more in control with the whole situation. So for that's how I kind of like place it.
And like, what are your thoughts about, like, you know, I think it's starting to become quite a trend with UFC fighters going to Triller and bare knuckle boxing. Like, I mean, we've seen Vitor Belfort, we've seen, Mike Perry, we've seen a lot of these. I mean, even the ladies have gone over to bare knuckle boxing. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think this trend is going to become a bigger thing in the future?
Oh, definitely. Just the fact is in that everybody that has like stepped over, they're making a lot more money, no matter how you end up looking at it. Because like I stated, when I said earlier, I was in a situation that had to like make me realize, like, dang, almost like I was in a weak state in front of my child, and my mind was, what would I end up leaving? That was my answer. And, you know, everybody else had their own like little steeds of doing things, but in reality, UFC push what they want to push. Like Sean O'Malley, they're pushing him. They want him to be pushed. They give him favored fights. And, you know, don't get me wrong, they're challenging fights and everything, but they're more favored in his style. That's like one of those type of people. Like, and then you got Chito. They didn't try to push him. He forced his way in, you know? Like, people end up understanding that. Like, he was supposed to be like basically the bread for the birds and everything, but he just whipped everybody's ass, you know, including mine. I give him points. Granted, I was beating him the first 2 rounds, but it is what it is. Stamina kicked in. But anyways, that's what ended up happening. You have like certain people where you know where they push and don't push. And the ones that they push, they give them extra money, extra stuff that follows up behind it. People like it, et cetera, et cetera. And bare knuckles kind of like an opening door for everybody that didn't have those chances. Where it's actually really great for me because I didn't have those chances. I literally forced my way all the way in there. You got to end up understanding. I worked really hard, basically the long route to get to the UFC. I had to end up doing so many extra fights. I didn't know anybody that was in there. And then more and more that I got like more shine and stuff. And next you know it, I became the guy that made it, So the opportunity of switching over to, to hold Triller and everything and bare knuckle, it's kind of like basically a beautiful door that's been waiting for me this whole time.
Excellent. Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is bare knuckle and working with Triller like something you want to continue with, or is it just something you're gonna test the waters with?
Definitely test the water at this moment. If the numbers are 100% right, I'm gonna be real with you. I will stick there. I will end up signing. I'll do what I got to do. My thing is like I want to be worldwide. So if it ends up leading me back with the USC, or it leads me into going to one, or whatever the case is, like I do want to fight and travel the world. I just don't want to be set and centered in one spot. But again, it comes down to this moment where I have mindset of how homes and houses to buy and everything, make sure everything's set for my child, and then when I end up getting my first child back, or when he ends up coming, that he has something, and my whole family, because at the end of the day we got to live this day by day. You don't know what's going to end up what's going to end up happening. I can end up dying today or / tomorrow. So mindset is make the right amount, and then when I get done and settled with all the stuff that I need, and then I can start venturing and see what else is open and all that other stuff. So if bare knuckles automatically set to sign me with a good deal, I'm on.
For sure. And we spoke earlier about a couple former opponents of yours, Charles Jourdain and Marlon Vera. Charles is fighting Shane Burgos, which looks like guaranteed fireworks. Who do you have winning that fight?
Now that one's going to be interesting, and I know that I already fought Jourdain, but Burgos is somebody I did want to fight. And I end up being real with that. The dude, he can throw. The dude got good body work, and that was something that Charles, in that first round, that I kind of partially exposed in a way, And I think old dude's going to end up really bringing that in. So tough fight to automatically score, as in sitting there saying who will win, because I know Charles, he'll end up lighting the fire out of nowhere. But I got old dude Burgos on that one.
And you mentioned earlier how Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, kind of instead of the Sean O'Malley route, he forced himself into the top 5. Now he's calling out Peter Yan. If that fight is made, I think that's a great fight. Who would you have in that?
Everything ends up going on as in how many rounds they're going. If they do 5 and it's a main event, my money will go with Chito. But if it's 3, it's going to go with old boy. Just factors in that he's able to work and micromanage 3 rounds, and Chito's a slow starter. That 5 rounds is perfect for him, because when he ended up fighting Font, he was losing those rounds until he dropped them. Now, and it's argument's sake, it was you're losing for 4 minutes and 30 seconds, literally, and then out of nowhere he drops him. And and granted, he wasn't really getting major damages or whatnot. The dude came out like he wasn't even, he didn't even fight and whatnot. But thing is, in the camera for 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Rob was winning. And he just got dropped. It's one of those things where if Rob would have worked, put more on the defense side, or didn't feel so comfortable just on being so offensive, and he kind of played the weary game, Rob would have ended up still in that fight. But it was Chito. Chito ended up doing his thing. So that's one thing I always end up saying. Chito is very durable. That man is durable. So whatever dude ends up putting, or Peter put on the table, he's going to end up eating that. But now the question is, can he keep that pace? And can he not get touched? And if he doesn't get touched, Peter wins that. But if it goes in 5, I got my money on Chito. That's one of those things. Chito, the dude, like I said, he's a dog. And no matter how you end up looking at it, he gets his job done.
For sure. Who's your favorite fighter to watch currently active right now?
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have to go with I'll say Charles right now. Charles in the 155 range, Oliveira. That man, yeah. It's like one of those situations. Like, right, he ain't the champ at this moment, but he should be the champ. We all know this. He beat the tough, and right now I want to see him fight Connor. Granted that I feel like Connor give a different story on this page, but dude, he ended up making he made things live, but this is all him until Max Holloway fights again. I'm a big fan of Max, so when he gets back in there, it's gonna be back to Max. You know.
Do you have Max winning the trilogy with Volkanovski?
Oh yeah, Max won it. I feel like he won the second one, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. But it should be 1-1 at this moment. But how I end up looking at it, I think Max wins that. But again, Alex, he ends up, he's tricky. He'll end up figuring out something. But my money's on Max on that one.
And growing up and watching MMA, I'm assuming, who inspired you to start training?
Bruce Lee / Roy Jones. I was a huge fan of those people. And don't get me wrong, loved Mike Tyson, but at the same time, I was kind of afraid of Mike Tyson because he looked just like my dad. So I thought my dad was Mike Tyson. So it was kind of like me and him and my pops didn't really have the best like relationship growing up. So in my eyes, I couldn't really basically bring myself to like Mike Tyson like that. So it was Roy Jones and Bruce Lee. But then, everything in the future ends up making sense. And now I'm in pops like, we're working on things and we're cool and, nothing but love and stuff like that. But, but back then, Bruce Lee and Roy Jones.
Luke?
Yeah, I just want to end with a couple good ones for you. I was looking on your Instagram. You did some modeling there. Talk about the story behind that, and what was your thoughts and feelings going through that motion?
So, and I know a lot of people, it's like, because like they're like jumping on the comments and everything on that. But it was a last minute thing. They needed an extra person. They don't get details. They just said, "Hey, do you want to come?" And my mind was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." When I got there, it wasn't like one of those like starstruck about those moments of, "Oh man, you're in an awkward position," or you're in a pickle and everything. No, it was kind of, "Hey, I'm sure love," especially they wanted to, like, the whole scene was grab someone young or grab somebody, be center of attention to make them feel the way that they want to feel, and it's beautiful, man. So I was definitely down with that. So I ended up jumping into it, and on the other actual side is that I'm a very random person. And that's just literally how I am. I'm like really random. I'll mess around, and I picked up snowboarding the beginning of this year, and I'm actually the shit now. And that's like one of my favorite hobbies. I end up doing a lot of weird things. It's just like me. I'm the guy that walks into the beach in the Speedo. I don't mind. Like, like hell, even have my own my OnlyFans at this moment. So you boys out here doing this own shit. Because it's like one of those things. People feel like they say you won't do it, and it's like I would definitely do it. I'm the type of person that would do it. I'm kind of person that's out there. I kind of want to end up showing the sides. We only live once, so let's do it. So that's just how I am. My own side. Yeah.
Yeah, and how did you hear about that? Was it like, did your management set that up for you, or?
No. Randomly just got a call and said, "Hey, do you want to model in LA?" I said, "Sure." It was literally like, I want to tell you. So I got the message about 11:30 p.m. at night, and it was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry for the late, message and everything, but we got a photo shoot tomorrow. Do you want to come down?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm definitely down." And then that ended up leading into like other ones like mansion photo shoots and stuff like that. So guy's just really good at what he does, and people just constantly keep bringing him in. So I think it was more like, let me test the waters to see what type of person he is. Is he rude or not rude and whatnot? And so, but like I stated, it was like awkwardly funny because like they're worried like, "Oh, as long as he respects us and stuff like that." And when I get there, I promise you, they're like, it was like the opposite. It was like, "Yeah, we're worried about you touching us, but we're all touching you and everything and asking you." And it was just like, it was awkwardly but funny, But yeah, got to keep things professional. I'm a very professional type of person. Yeah.
Well, and again, have you ever gotten any like weird DMs or bad DMs or weird fan mail or just stuff that you're prepared to talk about today?
Oh, definitely all the time. And it kind of comes down to like moments like, as right now, I probably have about 15 fights set up that is going to end up happening on site. Sit there and say, you know, like, and then all 15 of them is supposed to like, hey, come down to my gym. Like, you know, we can just go ahead and handle it, whatever we got to do. But they end up running mouth, and then they always start off with, you know, I'm going to be champ one day in the UFC. And it's like, okay, I hear that. But right now it's like, you're running your mouth with the wrong person and they expect me not to respond. And it's like, you know, at time I look through my messages and my comments and stuff like that, try to respond back to everybody. And so those fights happen. And then I end up getting like the other messages where women just want to be, you know, explicit with me and stuff like that. Or, you know, so I end up getting messages, especially since they know that I'm like single. So they end up shooting their shot. And then it just kind of like end up in a lot of definitely different directions how people end up coming at me. It's talking mess, basically trying to fight me, and you know, like I said, I'm cool with it as long as you don't bring up my child or my, you know, my family, or, you know, keep everything on me with gravy. You know, but like I stated, I got like 15 fights set up on site. Literally awkward.
It kind of reminds me of like those memes on the internet where you have like, you know, some bad guy eating the Cheetos and he says, oh, if I was, and he's watching like the UFC fights or MMA fights, you know, say, well, if I was in that position, I would armbar him. And it's kind of funny how fans kind of react to fights and they have no idea what they're actually talking about.
Oh, that's 100%. Like I promise you, not even a week ago, a guy, so probably a week or two ago, I ended up having one of my students, which she'd be fighting tomorrow, name's Patricia. I ended up having her basically was doing mitts, and I had her hands starting down with a little shoulder roll, but it's a straight buildup. And they kind of like jumped into it like, oh, I don't see the meaning of it. It doesn't work and all this other stuff. But this is a person that's not pro, probably didn't even have one amateur fight, and telling me, breaking me down, saying like, oh, there's this and that, and basically trying to like explain what's going on. And it's like, I had to place them in check mode. Like, hey bro, at the end of the day, you got to end up remembering for every pro that you end up looking at, they had to start somewhere. And I was like, because right now I know they're big on Bobby Green. So Bobby Green, very known to keep his hands down, very known just to end up shoulder rolling and whatnot. And even Floyd Mayweather all ended up starting in like a certain like momentum type of ordeal. They had to end up building things because a lot of people don't have rhythm. A lot of people don't know how to turn their foot. A lot of people don't know how to just put their arm or the body into the punches, whatever we want to end up adding. They just kind of throw more arm and not knowing how to throw the body. So hands down, able to block, and then you kind of end up building up. So end up into the story, making it a little story short, that there's a moment in flow of everything that has to end up happening. So for you to end up throwing the hook, like knowing that your defense is your offense, your offense is your defense, you got to end up placing those in those categories. So I had to end up like really chopping this down, and his mind wasn't catching it. So his best response was, well, I'm going to be in the UFC one day, and when that happens, I'm going to beat your ass. Okay, that's the argument. All right, whatever, you know. All right, so there you go. I'm about to get, you know, so some kid's about to end up beating me up when he gets into the UFC, and that was the argument sick. But at the end of the day, it's like people that end up fighting, they all had to start somewhere before they end up becoming a coach or whatever the case is. And if you end up just teaching somebody how to throw hands, you're not going to end up getting the, you know, the mental state or the background state of what happens after you get done throwing the hands. Because a lot of people just throw it and don't bring their hands back to their chin, or they throw it and they do bring it back to their chin, but they're leaving their body open. At the end of the day, something's always going to be open, and you got to have that knowledge to understand what is what. But yeah, so it's all automatic fishing off on that.
Excellent. And Chris?
I think that's everything I've said. Andre, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the positive energy you bring. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I appreciate you also like messaging me back real quick and setting this up real fast.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate you having me. As both of you guys having me, appreciate that. Just like last time, this time, you know, let me know when you guys want to bring me up. So if I end up getting that fight, I'm definitely down to jump back on if you guys are open to it.
110%. I'd love to have you back on. If you want, as soon as that fight's confirmed, let's get you back on here.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Excellent, Andre. You take care, and thanks again. And we'll talk again soon, man.
All right, cool. All right. Till next time, brothers.